Welcome to OGBAKO ISHI OBI BIAFRA. Today we're going to be clarifying on what is currently called SHABATA, the true SHABATA. And today it is on the CHHOW, CHIUKWU OKIKE. This is after the darkest hour. And after darkness came earh. Earh means the market day, the big market day. And it was earh. The same spelling but pronounced differently is earh. Earh is creation. It can also mean creator. Chineke, earh, the great spirit of creation or the creator. And the following day being ORIE signifies what is to be consumed and how it is created. So that's ORIE. What we will eat has to be what we will eat depends on what we create. So that's why the Most High created everything for us to live off of. That's about ORIE. And then AFO and NKWO are they signify the processes of creation for those who cook or produce in industrial scale, whether in industrial scale or commercial scale or residential scale. Understand, including cooking. Understand that you have to heat, grind, separate before separate what you eat. And then so AFO means to press, to separate. It's about separation. NKWO is the grinding and the grinding or the reduction of generating higher surface area, making sure you break things down to be able to be squeezed in order to get out what your final product in a more maximum quantity. And then the sequence continues with another smaller ORIE, smaller AFO, smaller NKWO, smaller earh, smaller ORIE, smaller AFO, smaller NKWO, and each of them has is after the days are after the nights, and including the nights before CHHOW, that becomes 8 nights. That's why our people use the word ABDUCTING to represent the week, which is in IGBO, and we call it Izu. Then you have another sequence of another 8 nights making Izuku, and then you make another 2 Izuku to make 1 month, and then you have 12 months representing the 12 tribes to make the year or AFO. And the AFO starts the month, the first month starts in first moon of March, counting all the March to March. Then we have been through the commandments. The first commandment, thou shalt not worship any other thing but CHHOW. not even spirit from heaven, not even heaven or earth is themselves. So when some people say they're worshiping earh, some say they're worshiping land, ground. Some people say they're worshiping flesh. That's against the first commandment, and which our fathers did. They bow, the Most High. The second commandment is that thou shalt not bow to the second, bow to anything but CHIUKWU OKIKE. Our fathers never. They may have the symbol of the commandment or covenant in their face, but they don't worship by calling his name earh, calling his name IGBO, calling his name land or ground. They never call his name any other thing but CHIUKWU OKIKE. They mention and who they call on, and that's only but CHIUKWU OKIKE. So do not let anybody deceive you when they say, "Oh, we worship, our fathers worshiped statues." No, they didn't worship statues. That's a reminder. But what they worship is who they call the name. They don't call him earh. They don't call him ground, land, Allah. They don't call him human, flesh, anything in flesh. And they don't worship, then they don't. The third one is that never to use his name in vain. Because what we're doing here is to make sure it's not like we're being righteousness of our own, but the righteousness of the sender. But what we're doing here is making sure, the objective is to make sure that we go back to CHIUKWU OKIKE and worship him. This is the main objective. We're not trying to impress anybody. We're not trying to entertain anybody. The word is not ours. We just a voice box. So we're not taking his name in vain. Number 4 here, the fourth commandment is about today. To keep today holy. To keep Eke, the day of creation, holy. Our fathers didn't go to work on the land. No burial, no marriages, no mourning, but to meditate and request that CHIUKWU OKIKE help them in keeping his day of creation holy and sanctified forever. And then the fifth is that we must honor our fathers and mothers to be able to live long on this earth that he gave us. And this is the reason why we respect them, honor them when they are alive. He didn't say honor them when they are alive or when they are dead, but whether they are alive or dead. And this is the reason why we pour libation to our fathers and mothers in respect. And we say, we use the right hand. And we say, may those to pour our libation in respect to our fathers and mothers and not to worship them. To pour our libation to our mother, by our father, and ask him, request that he pour libation to our mother to drink, and for them to share with those before and after them who are join them in rest. And we say, onye metere mma ya were aka anyị ṅụrụ. He who does right, let him drink from the right hand. Those who do evil, let them drink with the left hand. And when we pray, we watch the best. If we think about it, the focus is on our fathers, the Father in heaven, and not on Santa Claus, with a woolly, fluffy hair hanging up, or we not so that we do not pray with nothing showing. Because if you pray for CHIUKWU OKIKE, you receive from the Father. You receive from the Father. But if you pray for the fluffy hair, you receive from the fluffy hair. And if you pray for an empty space, you get an empty, receive an empty gift. So these are the things we have to be mindful of so that we do not get deceived. But then, one of the things I have to make clear here is that there is no way you can say any way you can say the truth. There's no way that the truth can be told without upsetting devil. So the truth is what the truth is, and the truth must be said. And for anybody to be arguing, since a lot of our people have started awakening, they animal talk about hate speech from devil and his sons or demons has increased so much that if you are not of the truth, it will be hard to tell the truth. So why not you tell the truth? Because tell the truth. For those who are scared of telling the truth, so that you don't die for it. If you, no matter whether you say it or not, even if you are 100% healthy today, and if you were 100% healthy yesterday, and the Most High, you didn't wake up this morning, will you take war to heaven? No. So say the truth and have life, and say the truth and be free. So the children of light must continue to say the truth. Truth must be told for life. And then coming to ihe puru enyi oboro. Enyi is elephant, the biggest animal in the world. Elephant has the biggest head also. And what that cracks is what crack the head, such a large head of an elephant, that exposes the brain. The brain means oboro, or oboro means brain. And ihe pro oboro educate that caused Nnamdi Kanu and to be put to be unlawfully kidnapped or adopted, followed with the hunting of Sunday Igbo Hosha, is that interview, the great interview with their brother in the East, Sunday who was David Masinga. We are also, well, in a clip that I have to play here, David Masinga asked Nnamdi Kanu, what Biafra do you expect or want to see? And Nnamdi Kanu returned by saying, it is the Biafra. We want to return to the Biafra, the land of our ancestors, where our fathers lived right from the beginning of the foundation of the earth, which we are the only one who have the moral authority to speak of this beginning, because we are from the seed of the beginning, and those who came after the beginning cannot tell about what they didn't experience, what they're not a part of. So Nnamdi Kanu is a leader. Nnamdi Kanu sets the goal, and the managers or people that follow us or foot soldiers drill into it, drill into the truth, and drill into the goal, because to get to break down the information so that everybody can understand it, because the devil is in the details. To get it out of the goal, which is like the overview. You need the right people with the right knowledge to break it down. And then the question is how? How are we going to get this country, this nation desired, this nation that the Most High will lead? That's because this nation will come by us abiding by the commandment and the covenant, the government, written constitution, whichever you choose to call it, that the Most High gave to the world through his Igbo people. And that's what we striving to do in this platform. And that's the Earth Summit that we are still undergoing. Our fathers didn't bow to walls. Our fathers didn't bow to the ground and they call him their creator. Our fathers didn't say El or Elu is their creator. Our fathers didn't worship a human being, a flesh and blood, on Sunday as their creator and call him their creator. They didn't worship him on Saturn Day, which is a planet, and call him their Shabbat Day. They didn't call him the ground on Friday and the moon day and call him their creator. They may have the symbol of the covenant in front of them as a reminder, but what they call on was what they worship, which is CHIUKWU OKIKE. They call him CHIUKWU OKIKE, Chineke. And that's what they worshipped. They didn't worship it. They didn't call him God. No, this is Odo. The trumpet, the horn of salvation. They didn't worship him. But they use this, it's like a symbol, but they still call CHIUKWU OKIKE. They don't call him God or God. Right. That's the point I was trying to make there. And I hope that everybody, those with the truth in them, will grab it. There's no successful revolution or change that has come with religion. Religion, that means sell before you evaluate, to ask of the value from the mouth to the mouth, to ask the mouth what is the value. It's a snake oil. It sounds like a snake oil, doesn't it? Sounds like delusion, doesn't it? And then what kind of country do we want? Is that like a country of United Nations? Then if it's a country that's going to be under the United Nations, then you're going to have to be cutting, your objective is, your aim is defeated, because you're going to be under Caesar and Cain and Edom, and then you're going to be cutting covenant with the heathen. These are things we have to consider. Is that the United Nations that is now watching you to be killed by Boko Haram and the ISIS and the Shabab, whatever? Is that the one? So that's what we have to, evaluate, to be prepared to get into the kingdom of Most High promised to us by CHIUKWU OKIKE. It's in there. Spiritually, we have to be ready to be able to get the nation we want. There are also some comments made by some great people from brothers and from Nigeria, including Maya Lafia, which I would never want to forget that, where he said that like I do never want to use America or British, but go straight to the elites of these artificial geographical expressions called Britain and France, or Germany, or G7, or British, or any nation. They're all created by Caesar. Because I have known of great men in all these countries, so how can I lump them together rather than going straight to Caesar, the official creator of those places? So that's what we need to be doing, going straight to the artificial creator and not going after lumping up people together, because this is one of the things that we have to consider to be able to realize how deep, the extent at which the devil has deceived the world. And also he mentioned that everywhere the Fulani passes become a desert. And then, mind you, the Sahara Desert that is now unproductive, the barren land, Fulani crisscrossed it. This was the same place that Joseph used as a basket, the grain basket of the world, when he was the governor of Egypt. But now, Ammon and Moab and Edom and Cain running rampage on it. They kept going deeper and deeper into the ocean. They want to drill they want to sink their Quran into the sea. And they try to want to the same vein. It looks like, don't it look like they're driving the desert into the sea? And some of these people in these nations, one of them having been the Secretary of State before Donald Trump became president, was found sitting with the leader of the grand patron of Maeti Allah, Fulani cattle rearers that has rendered the whole place desert. Was seen with him sitting in his den with some men, even sitting on the floor, while he was sitting on a chair. And this Caesar was not ashamed of himself to speak of environmental czar in the last few months. Environmental czar went through this, and the next minute you will see him talking about civil and human rights, where he saw people being slave on the floor. I got the document with me. Everybody saw it. Everybody knows this. And then when they gather, when these Caesars gather, they gather with the Obas. They gather with the Sultan and their silly emirs. And then they gather with their Obi and Obon. These were their old allies. The old allies of slave catchers who derailed the Aburi Accord, took Nnamdi Kanu, and people like Obabiasika, Mojoku, Ifajuna. These are the people who turned them into beasts during the Biafra War. These are the people who turned the Aburi Accord into rubbish, but now they want Nigeria what they call reconstruction, or they call it restructure. What are you gonna restructure Nigeria into? Which you already destroyed it. Now some of them coming and telling Ndigboo, the Obas in the West, Ndigboo to surrender himself to Caesar, for Caesar to eat. And for those who are instrumental, who has their hand into the abduction of Nnamdi Kanu, if there is any inside job, like people are suspecting, one thing I'm going to tell you, guarantee you, according to the scripture, Proverbs chapter 28 verses 10. Whosoever calls these blameless men to go astray, or to be locked up, or be haunted, to go astray, is a guarantee that you're going to fall in your own pit. But guess what? It doesn't end there. Because the Most High is not going to be according to his third commandment, second commandment, for using his name in vain. You are his enemy. By causing this man to be astray, you are his enemy, and he is not gonna only punish only you, but your own children that you think they are good, but the other people's children are nothing. Those who eat human flesh need to give themselves a little pinch to see how it hurts. And Olufemi Aina, also in one TV broadcast or interview with I think it's Channel TV also, he mentioned that if by by due process, Nnamdi Kanu can never be in jail or can never be extradited or extradited from any country that makes sense in the world in 1 million years. This is UG. It's a meditation, and whosoever does this, there is a consequence, spiritual consequence. And when damned, how can this person ever believe that he's not damned by CHIUKWU OKIKE? Or these people will not claim they're not damned. And according to Banji Akinloye, in one of the interviews, somebody mentioned in Simon Ekpa's broadcast of several days ago, mentioned that Awolowo asked them, Obafemi Awolowo asked them to work with the Igbo people, their people, and which made me to realize that what everybody has been accusing Obafemi Awolowo for must have been by keeping him under duress through the Obas, the slave catchers. Because he was not thinking about it, he was not the Awolowo we know. Awolowo that was supposed to be fried in Kano while his brothers brought him to the Calabar prison and released him on accusation that is political. The same thing Nnamdi Kanu didn't do. Going through, Awolowo went through it. And when he came out with all the agreement he made with his brothers, the Obas and the Ufis, as their masters called them, put them through shame, to soil his hand in the blood of his own people. And even after that war, Awolowo was a thick, great friend of J.O.J. Okezie, a very brilliant man. Some Igbo people were in the UPN, cheering and pushing for him to be the president. And some of the stories I heard from, we hear from about the so-called former dictator, the wedlock breaker and murderer. We learned that in some of the information we get that the wedlock breaker and the murderer and cocaine drug dealer, you need to know it. If you don't know these things, I'm not scared of mentioning the name, but I want you to think for once. rather than just blatant feeding you like the hidden pagan pastors, to make your head and mind go spiritual, to dig the information. And he was instrumental to the death of Obafemi Awolowo. And then think about Nnamdi Azikiwe, Okpabia Mojoku, Ifajina. See the ring there. And when somebody is always lying or doing evil, like going and forming his own gang and thugs against the ESN, calling himself a traditional leader, all these criminals who call themselves Igwe, they don't know what they're calling themselves. Igwe is heaven on earth for corrupt, rotten, evil men and women, calling themselves what even the righteous feared to call themselves. We must be instrumental in pressuring Nnamdi Azikiwe and these great men I just mentioned to soil their hands, and the Dabani Hiarisi destroy themselves. Then on the Aburi Accord and Oba Obeni, is that a story now? No. I even heard on the Simon Ekpa one day, one of them, when somebody was cursing a lady, Efe, warning about him and to stop saying anything about their God. Can you believe it? I was shocked that a human being called a flesh God, if that God really means, what does that tell you? Does that God really means the Creator? It's a question. These are the questions we have to be asking ourselves to exonerate ourselves from this madness that is about to happen. This existential threat. The only thing that can save us, free us, is the truth. Only the truth shall set us free, because the truth is life. And keeping it there, I will now go to the clip. Some clips about putting Nnamdi Kanu in jail. What we're preaching here is not, the majority of it is not new. These are public information. Many people have said more abrasive stuff than what the demons and devils will want to believe. For instance, I will start with Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda said, I am from white privilege. I am famous on top of that. So everything is going to be very nice and polite. I can't pretend that if I was an unknown black person, it will be the same. Jane Fonda on white supremacy, being interviewed on NPR on November 1, 2019. And also is Rosanna Akwete on AFP on April 7, 2019, the same boiling 8, 2019 that the IPOB wanted declared that they're going to have a 1 million march in 2020, and all of a sudden there is a 6 feet spacing, and all the joke that the Ministry of Health of Singapore is now turning into a joke. And then the American national anthem, the ball stars, the football stars, and the basketball stars kneeling, black or white, kneeling against it on ballparks. Look at the paragraph 3. That's where what their annoyance or triggers this kneeling. Wasn't Nnamdi Kanu was the one? Was he the one kneeling? And where, in what jails are these great men and women speaking for? Excuse me. From which the word of CHIUKWU OKIKE was being spoken. And then come the Swedish teenager, the climate activist Greta Thunberg, said to have turned into world leaders for failing to act on climate change. And then here she quotes, "People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are at the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and the fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you, liars? I don't believe you." Just imagine Nnamdi Kanu or somebody who's saying the same thing. All they say is, let us be freed so we can participate in making this earth better. But what are they focused at? At stolen oil, stolen gold, stolen columbine, stolen minerals, and destroying. And if you do not want to do that, we destroy you. We wipe you out. We exterminate you. And that conspiracy. And these are cowards. They cannot come and speak it, but they have to go through all these silly insiders, Ufunedi, all these Ufunedis. If you don't destroy them, CHIUKWU OKIKE Abiama will, because it's not about thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not do this. There are consequences for not doing those things, or for doing those things, all those evils. For doing it, there are consequences. So when Ken or Caesar or your Edom tells you, and all their co-conspirators tell you, oh, thou shalt not do this, no, there will be a consequence. And the only people that are going to make this earth that will be used, have moral authority to be used to do this, are the people of the covenant, the children of the covenant, and not the people who are, going out of the way trying to be who they're not. So what we do is we're going to have to pray to CHIUKWU OKIKE. Today is the day we start guarding the covenant, guarding the Shabbat, the foundation of the earth. And they say and request that CHIUKWU OKIKE Abiama helps us and deliver us from this messy time. Forgive our sins we have sinned, O CHIUKWU OKIKE. Forgive our sins and give us the repentant heart, your fear, your spirit, your love, Masigi Chineke, and Nyamaka Gizurok, your help, and the repentant heart again. Like we always say, inscribe it in our face, inscribe it in our heart, and in our tongue, like you did to our fathers who judged us righteously. Help us, O CHIUKWU OKIKE. You are in charge. Stay in charge forever, and stay happy forever, and help us to guard your covenant, keep your commandments the way it's going to make you happy all the time, so that we, your people, can help to save your earth and save ourselves. CHHOW. The Most High is King, the only King we have and the only King we're going to always have. Come help us, Father. Help us. Only you can help us to worship you the way that is going to make you happy all the time. And we want your help always. And with this I say, Ise, Ise, Ise. Till the next video. May all be blessed.
Presently constituted is not working, and we are doing all we can to try to raise the levels of human development, of our understanding, education, health sector, the economy, and all the rest of it. If we continue to remain in Nigeria, not just are we going to suffer, but the whole continent of Africa is going to suffer as a result, as a consequence of the ineptitude, the corruption, the backwardness, the retrogressive mindset of the people who are presently in charge of that very place. Initially, most people tend to see us as not being Pan-African enough. I am a Pan-Africanist. I believe in the unity of the African states. My preference will be for Africa to have one nation, one government, one people, even one language if that is possible. I am a subscriber to the very fine influence of Kiswahili amongst the people of East Africa. And I wouldn't mind if that were to be the lingua franca for sub-Saharan Africa. I don't mind at all. But we must face reality and we must face facts. We as Africans are tribal by nature. We are ethnic by nature. That is why every Christmas, every Easter, every celebration that we have, we go back to where we come from. We go to our villages, we go to our town. That is who we are. And we're not going to deny that. What we are trying to do is to reassert who we are before the white man came and destroyed every vestige of honor and dignity that we once had. And in Biafra, we are going to restore that. And from Biafra, the rest of Black Africa will also be free. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for explaining the position of Pan-Africanism. Because critics talk about, as much as we are Pan-African station, we always talk about Pan-African unity. But I've argued my case before the AU, and they said, you cannot talk of Pan-African unity. One part of Africa is bleeding. How that cannot be? In Nigeria, there's one party bleeding. In Gabon, Cameroon, there's one party bleeding. We can't talk about Pan-African and leave people who are bleeding. I am happy that you have touched the word Pan-Africanism. Many Africans, including your former leaders, have said Nigeria needs rearrangement. I picked something from you. I want to see this rearrangement. What is this? Babangida, former President Babangida said Nigeria needs a rearrangement because it can't work anymore. The marriage cannot work. It is true that the marriage cannot work. It is true that the people, the IGBO, are discriminated. When they go to Abuja, they are told go home. Where yet the home is Nigeria. Abuja is Nigeria. I've done investigative work undercover, and I've discovered all these things. I'm not being told by you, but I've been with my Nigerian people who have actually ended up being discriminated in their own country. So given this scenario, I want to find out from you, from what perspective do you think Africa should come in, the whole of Africa should come in to bring the plight of the Biafran people, the indigenous people, whom you have been fighting for? How do we come in as Pan-Africans?
How you can come in is by doing what very courageous leaders in Africa did in relation to the case of South Sudan. Because in the case of Nigeria, the center can no longer hold. Everyone knows, the whole world is aware of the fact that we are ideologically, psychologically, culturally, religiously, and socially diverse. There is no meeting point. It's a very good thing that you talked about East Africa, for instance. In East Africa, there is some semblance of cohesion because Kiswahili is the lingua franca. Perhaps somebody from Uganda may understand somebody, or should I say some people from Tanzania. Some Tanzanians may be able to understand somebody, let's say, from Rwanda, because they speak the same language, they have the same understanding. So that is the basis for building something called a national cohesion. In the case of Nigeria, that is conspicuously absent. It doesn't exist. Now, the fact of the matter is this. Africa, the way it is presently set up and constituted, are merely colonial constructs, where you have people coexisting happily together. Perhaps they are very fortunate. In the case of West Africa and Nigeria in particular, I have nothing, and I repeat, nothing in common with your average Fulani person. I have more things in common with even a white British person than I do with a Fulani person. I mean, we have nothing in common. Their value system is markedly different from ours. We cannot see eye to eye. I give a very simple example. The recent case of the banning of the movement of cattle on foot in the southern part of Nigeria, for instance. In the north, that is a normal thing for them to have. But in the south, it is absolutely strange having people walking around your neighborhood with AK-47. At the slightest provocation, they kill people. That type of culture is alien to those of us from the south. And that's what we are trying to say. And it's a very good thing that we are not alone in seeking for a distinct, or should I say, separate identity. Our Oduduwa, our Yoruba brothers are also asking for the same thing, because they too have come to the realization that this Nigeria is unworkable. The Middle Belt is doing the same thing. It is not born out of hatred for anybody. That is the mistake that people keep making all the time. Most analysts and, should I say, news journalists tend to think that somehow we hate Nigeria. Of course, that is not the case. What we deplore, what we detest and cannot live with is the level of hypocrisy, the level of ethnic jingoism going on, being, of course, perpetrated by the Fulani people. And this is what I want all Pan-Africans to be able to see, that Biafra will be there piloting and moving the affairs of the whole of Africa forward. Because we have said it repeatedly, without Biafra standing on its own, the rest of Africa will continue to suffer and to flounder. And for us to be able to get to where we are supposed to be to, there has to be a very comprehensive and holistic rearrangement of the present state of Nigeria. You are well aware. I ask you to go and read at the